So finding your feet, finding your samastiti. Welcome to Yoga Therapy Winter Term. And today we're working with legs and feet, grounding apana vayu, downward flow of energy. Just start by bending your knees, tracking over second toes. As you exhale, and release the head down and just feel the ground, feel the feet. And inhale, straighten the legs. And if it's comfortable, pull up on the kneecaps. Just see what that feels like for your knees. If it doesn't feel good, don't do that part. And exhale, bend the knees. Look down at the earth, look down at your feet. And inhale, pull up and straighten the spine. Exhale, feel your roots, like a tree rooting down, or as we talked about, like root vegetables, carrots, beets, etc. Inhale, feel the branches, the leaves, and perhaps spread the arms. Feel that upward flow of energy, Udana. Exhale, Apana, the downward flow of energy. And inhale, Udana. This is about growth. Udana is about growth. Exhale, Apana, rooting down. And inhale, expanding, growing up and out. And last time, exhale, rooting down. And inhale, expanding out. And up, Udana, up, Vyana, out. Bring the hands to the heart. Yoga, we talk a lot about prana. Prana vayu is in the chest area, in the head. It's where we bring in new energy. So let's focus on that for a minute. Inhale, arms at the sides as we bring in new energy, new prana. And exhale, bend the knees, draw the belly in from the pelvic floor up to the belly button. As we think about apana, also its opposite, letting go of old energy. Inhale, prana, filling up with new energy. Feel those branches of your tree, maybe your favorite plant, expanding upward and outward. And exhale, rooting down. Inhale, filling up with new energy. Prana, chi, ki, it's got different names, different cultures. Exhale, letting go of old energy, apana. Last time, inhale. If you look slightly up, this also helps that upward movement, that outward movement. And exhale, looking down, helps that grounding movement. And just release. It's comfortable bringing the feet together. I'm just going to start the series with Yogena Chitasya. This is to Patanjali, who's the author of the Yoga Sutras, one of the 6 schools of philosophy from ancient India. The yoga I teach is very rooted in these sutras. Knowledge of yoga compiled from the ancient Vedas by Patanjali. Yogena Chitasya Padena Tajam Malam Sharirasya Chalaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaram Munina Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abaho Purushakaram Shankachakrasitarinam Sahasrashirasam Shwetam Pranamami Patanjalim Shrimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha. If you want to repeat this last part, Namo Namaha means I surrender, I let go. Namo Namaha. We're going to bring this into class today. Namo Namaha. During that ha, draw your belly in. Namo Namaha. Release the hands down. Inhale, arms up to your place. So I know some of you have some injuries, so you might not bring your arms as high. See where you can bring them today. So you don't have to bring them all the way together. And exhale, let's go through the central channel as we bend the knees and look down. Inhale, coming up. If you like, you can also arch the spine, the upper back. And exhale, rooting down. So working with these opposite energies, apana and prana. Uddana, up. Exhale, apana, down. As we grow up, we bring in energy, we bring in that prana in order to grow Uddana up. And we expand outward Dhyana. Exhale, down. Just keep this going your own timing, your own breath pattern. Combining breath and movement. Ujjayi Pranayama if you like, constricting the throat. Or you can just make a ha sound in any way that you can. You can do it with an open mouth exhale to begin with. The Ujjayi, that constricting the throat, creates a valve, allows us to slow the breath down. Pausing between inhale and exhale, take that moment of nothing. Start to exhale before you start to move if you like, adding that piece. Most of you have studied with me for a while. Starting to inhale before you start to move after that pause. Just warming up the spine. And just finishing up, we're going to bring our arms to the front. Inhale, arms front. Arching the back this way. Notice if your shoulders feel better to have your palms forward or maybe your thumbs back. Notice if perhaps a wider expression of this position feels better for you rather than overhead. And exhale down if you can overhead. This is working more with the lower back, with the arms moving forward and up. Notice if you feel that in your lower back a bit more. And then if you like, combine the two movements. Inhale, side, working with the upper back, neck, and shoulders. Arms coming down the sides as you exhale, and then inhale up the front. Notice the difference between those two movements in your spine. And this might be your yoga practice. So you can think of what we're just doing in these first few minutes. You get up in the morning, maybe take your shower, and then get dressed. You can wear regular clothes and just do this. And just finishing up. All right. Let's come up on the toes. Inhale. If this works for you, you can skip going up on the toes if it's too much. Inhale, coming up, arms side, coming up on the toes, lifting way up, keeping your focus slightly down, about 6 feet in front of you. And exhale, gradually coming down, trying to time the movement of the breath with the movement of the arms and the legs all together. Keep this going your own timing. My morning frog. Frogs are back in the forest now. It's warm enough. We're hearing them again. This one we might bring in Jalandharabandha, the chin lock at the end of the inhale. Krishnamacharya was very fond of that chin lock. That chin lock creates, according to the Yoga Rahasya, it creates a Pana Vayu. It creates that downward flow of energy by blocking Udana, that upward flow, by bringing the chin down. So it's a neat little technique you can bring in to add a bit more grounding to your practice if it doesn't hurt your neck. Some of us a little hard on the neck, so if it does, skip it. And just finishing up. Just rest. And that could be your practice. We're going to keep going, of course. We're going to move into some forward bends, one leg at a time. So get into those legs. So the legs, they're your roots. So starting with your feet together, samastiti, even standing, you're going to bring your left foot forward in one step and then turn that back foot out. Okay, just find your stance. You might use a chair to come to. Okay, some of you will want to use a chair for your forward bends. Inhale, arms coming up front if that works. If you've got neck, shoulder injuries, try bringing your arms sides rather than front, okay? So just see what feels better in your body. You're going to inhale, bring your arms up, Parshva Uttanasana, one-sided forward bend. Again, you can do that Jalandharabandha, that chin lock. The palms are facing forward. Exhale, contract pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Now you might bring your hands just to your thigh and just come to there. You might bring your hands to a chair, or perhaps you come all the way down. And then inhale, coming up. Arm side is much easier if you have a lower back issue. So I'm just going to start with that arm side because it's much easier. This is working more the upper back, neck, and shoulders. And exhale, starting position. So we're going to move nice and slow today. First class back. Some of you haven't been doing too much yoga in the last month. Inhale, arms coming up. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Lower back does round a little bit as you extend through the upper back, neck and shoulders coming down. If you can, move the arms first in line with the ears to an Ardha half position and then all the way up. Exhale, starting position, Parshva Uttanasana. We do this 2 more times and then stay. Inhale up. Slow, long breathing, exhale. Inhale, arms either in line with your ears or to your sides. Pick your medicine. Or you can bring the arms just up the leg and get rid of that lever altogether if it's too much stress on your lower back. So just be mindful of that. Again, you can use a chair for high blood pressure issues, eye issues where you can't bring your head lower than your heart, or back issues where it just doesn't feel good on your lower back, you've got an injury. For fourth time, we're going to stay now. Inhale, arch the back up. You can do this on a chair or with hands on the floor, hands on blocks. Exhale, forward bend. Every time you inhale, try to lengthen your lower back, bring your ribs forward. You can actually kind of grab them, bring them forward to lengthen your lower back. And then when you come forward again, you should feel your lower back has gotten a bit longer. Just do this in your own timing. Inhale, up. Extend nice and long. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Last time, fourth time. Now, if it's comfortable, just stay here and breathe. If it's not comfortable, come out of the pose and just rest in samasthiti or keep moving up and down. You're in the staying in the position. Can you hold after exhale? Draw the belly in from the pelvic floor up to the belly. Hold after exhale, extending the effect of the Apana Vayu. Release that lock of the belly and then inhale, release into the chest, into the belly. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Draw everything in and up. Hold after exhale. Release that belly, then start to inhale into the chest, then the belly if you can. Let's come up very lazily, bending the front knee, bringing the hands up the leg. I just do that for safety. Sometimes after a deep stretch, if you're not used to it, there can be a back spasm, something like that. So just do that for safety. If you want to come up the classical way, always feel free. Right foot forward, stepping one step, turning the back foot out. Exhale. Inhale, arms coming up. Again, you can bring arms side instead of front if you've got a neck and shoulder injury, or if this is too much for your lower back. Exhale, coming forward. So I'm going to show a version where you slide with your arms up and down. If that lever, that weight of the arms is too much, so you might just come there. Your hands could be on a chair. You might come all the way down. If you know what you're doing, just go up and down, please. Inhale, coming up. Slide those hands up the leg. You might not add them at all, or at the end of the inhale, you could bring them up. But we're taking that break in between, which in Chennai these days, that's what they tend to do. Earlier parts of Krishnamacharya's work, he just goes up and down. So sometimes I teach like that. Now just pick your expression of the pose. Do what you want with your arms to make it work for your back and your neck and your shoulders. Now that you know what you're doing in the pose, can you start connecting with your feet every time you exhale? That Apana Vayu, you can think of it like water flowing down to the earth. We're on our fourth round already, I believe. You can keep it going. moving 4 to 6 times up and down, or stay at the bottom and breathe now. And add that hold after exhale. So your choice on that. Keep it moving or stay. Inhale, arching partway up. We're going to start with the sthiti for 4 breaths before we completely stay. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, when you look up, try to bring the ribs forward on that thigh, lengthen the lower back. Exhale, forward bend. If you're doing that 4 to 6 times, stay in the pose if it's comfortable, or keep it moving dynamically. Some modifications you can play with. If you have scoliosis, I know at least 2 of you do in the room today, you can try that side that is short for you in your upper back. You could bring that arm forward. So a lot of people have some shortness in the left upper back. Bring that left hand forward. See how that feels. Also bring your body, your hands to the left. This gets more into the lower back if you have compression, tightness in your left lower back with that right foot forward. Alternatively, you could twist the other direction. Stretch the other side of the lower back. Play with those modifications. And when you're ready, start coming up, sliding up. We're coming up classically with the arms. Still stepping back. Find your asana-s, even standing. Notice how you feel. Feel your feet. Feet together or maybe hip width apart. See what feels better in your body right now. Let's just find that asana-s, even standing pose. Let's bring the shoulders up and back and down, lifting the chest. Now, can we draw the ribs in at the same time? That's the trick. So a lot of us, like me, have this kind of a stance when we draw our shoulders back. So we don't want that. That's kind of compresses your kidneys, not a good idea. So draw your ribs in. Let's try to draw your shoulders up, back, down. Draw those ribs in and find your apana as you branch out like a tree. So can you root down while branching up and out? And energetically, that's all the 5 vayus, including this belly button one I haven't mentioned, samana vayu. Pendulum movement at the belly, back and forth. So from the belly button down, can you root down and soften that? Include a little bit also that sternum, drawing in, softening. And then keep the heart open. Okay, we'll come back to that. So doing yoga will naturally create that position in your spine, but it's sometimes good to consciously try to bring it in as well. Okay, we're going to do our next 4 bends. So lots of 4 bends today. We're going to do Uttanasana. Inhale, arms coming up again. I'm going to start with arms side for those of you with neck and shoulder issues. So arms sides. And exhale, I'm going to bring the hands down, doing this Namo Namaha position, surrendering, letting go. Inhale, we're going to bring the arms side. Just to begin with, we've done a lot forward. And I'm going to add an Om on exhale to begin with, and you can join if you like, or just exhale. Coming up. Om is sound of that which links us all together, nameless, formless. That has taken form in the enlightened beings throughout cultures, throughout religions, throughout wisdom traditions. Om Namo. Om Namo. This means I let go. You can also say I let go if you prefer. A surrender. Namaste, Namaskaram. You're all linked to a little spark of light of this Om, radiating like the sun. Om Namo. If you're finding my chant too long, you can do it faster and there'll be a sea of sound in your room, and that's totally fine. If we're all in the room together, it's quite beautiful. So find your own breath pattern. Don't follow me if it's killing you. Om Namo. We're going to add one more piece. Om Namo Namaha. Between each one of those parts, just take a little pause if you can. This creates a krama in the breath. Om Namo Namaha. One more of that. If you've had enough, just stay at the bottom and breathe. If you've already finished. Om Namo Namaha. And at the bottom, again, feel those feet. Feel the connection to the earth. If you can, imagine your roots growing down either as a tree or picture those root vegetables of your choice, carrots, beets. Rooting down into the earth, Apana-vayu. Our theme today, rooting down. We move into a subtle breath where you're just observing the natural rise and fall of the breath. Classically, my teachers teach the hands beside the feet. For many of this is not accessible, so just wanted to let you know, put blocks. You can bring your hands forward. Your hands can be on a chair, of course, table, countertop. You can always bend the knees. You can always draw those ribs forward on your thighs, trying to lengthen your lower back, and then release. I always like to bring my hands behind my calves. It makes breathing a little hard though. When you're ready, let's lazily come up again, bending the knees, arching the spine as we come up. You might take a breath in between for those of you with blood pressure issues. You get dizzy. Halfway up, just take a breath. As many breaths as you need to come up. And notice how you feel having brought the head below the heart now for quite a while. Notice that down regulating effect. The head lower than the heart. Notice the relaxation coming into your body, breath, mind. Maybe visualize that root vegetable growing. Imagine the ground at the pelvic floor and the legs, or that root growing down all the way to the feet. The root of a tree. However you want to visualize this, might be feet down as well. I like to think of my root from the pelvic floor down. This is all Upanavayu in the ancient texts, from the pelvic floor down, actually from the belly button down. So let's start to move into some other areas of the legs and feet. So I'd like to stretch the calves. Many people have very tight calves, so I'd like you to use a wall. Actually, I think I'm going to use this wall today, a little easier. So bring your hands on the wall, bring one foot forward, the other back, and make your feet parallel. Now, if you want to do downward facing dog instead of this pose, you're welcome to, and you can pedal the feet in that pose if you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to be doing it this way, but you can do downward facing dog if you prefer. Make your feet parallel as much as possible. You can put your forearms on the wall. You can put your front toes right to the wall, or even up the wall on a baseboard. If you can put your toes on the baseboard, that gives them a nice stretch. That back foot, try to make it nice and parallel. And then you can rest your head rather on the wall. You can also fold your arms and rest that way. Rest your forehead on your folded hands. So just find a position comfortable for your neck. Nice and parallel. And then exhale, bend one knee. Inhale, straighten. So if you're in down dog, you're just have all your weight on one foot right now. Exhale, bend your back knee. Inhale, straighten. I've got the front knee bent. It could be also straight. Just feel the difference. I find much more effective to bend the front knee, get more of a stretch, but make it easier by straightening that leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. This is good for plantar fasciitis. Some of you who have that. Moving from the soleus, the deeper calf muscle, to the gastrocnemius, the bigger calf muscle. And when you're ready, straightening the legs, stepping back to a wall down dog. Now look up. Exhale, look down. This is for upper back, neck, and shoulders. You might want to have your hands facing out if this hurts your wrists. Or use fists for those of you who've got RA in your hands. You might use a fist position. See what works best for your body. And when you're ready, bringing the right foot forward. Again, those toes can be on a baseboard if that works or not. You could even put a block. I didn't show this, but you could put a block at on your shin to give more stability to a front knee if your knee is unstable. So that can feel good for those with arthritis in the knee. Show that variation. Right on the shin, not on the knee. Back foot parallel, so it will tend, because of tightness, it will tend to turn out. So try to make it parallel. We're in an easy position here. It's quite targeted. Exhale, bend if you're in down dog. Just working that left leg now, or the opposite one, or you might be going side to side. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Just feel this into the ankle, the calf. Like me, you have tight Achilles tendons, you'll feel this a lot. This, the calves are so important for our walking, running, all the things we do with our legs. They get tight, it translates into the feet, and we'll get knee pain. So do you have tight calves? I recommend doing the down dog with the pedaling feet of this quite often. And that's certainly my case. When you're ready, stepping back, we did that quite a bit. Into your wall, downward facing dog, or regular down dog with both feet. And stay here, inhale, look up. Exhale, look down and press away from the wall. Bend those knees and lengthen the spine, and feel a stretch in the neck and shoulders as well. So a lot of you have upper back stuff going on. This is a little bit for the whole spine. When you're ready, step to the wall. We're going to do a forward bend with the buttocks at the wall. Lots of forward bends today. Bring the feet out. Away from the wall, feet hip width apart. Just feel the back body at the wall. Strangely soothing. And bring your hands to the wall and start to come forward, drawing the belly in, bend those knees a little bit. Press away from the wall when you get halfway, and just stay there and actually hinge from the hips. So a little bit different than our usual forward bends. We're going to actually hinge from the hips. Start with that. Inhale here, Ardha Uttanasana, and exhale. Bend the knees a little bit. Try to draw in from the pelvic floor up to the belly button as you come forward. Inhale, coming halfway up. Hands to the wall, might be fingertips, depending on the length of your arms. Exhale, forward bend, could be fists. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward bend. Exhale, full forward bend. Now, if this is too easy, add some weight of the arms. Fold the arms, hold opposite elbows. Inhale, move the arms first, in line with the ears. Come halfway up. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, come down. That feels too much, but we want to keep going with this. Use the hands on the legs. This is very strengthening for the lower back. So this Ardha half position of the forward bend, very strengthening. I find it more strengthening than doing Superman poses, even though I have brought those back to my practice in the last year after kind of giving up on them for a while, but I still find this more strengthening for the lower back. So for those of you with a weak core, weak lower back, this is for you. That extending the spine out is really using your core. And stay in your forward bend position. Stay there and relax now, or keep it moving, your choice. Now here you can hold your calves. You can hold your big toes with your peace fingers. You could have your hands on the wall. And just rest here. And from here, we start transitioning to the ground. Feel free to lie on a yoga mat, carpet, anything comfortable. I just don't use a mat because it allows me to move in the space a bit more, down style, which I'm used to from my former life. So we're going to lie on the ground. And if you do have a wall to work with, it is really nice to be able to put your feet at the wall. If you can angle your cameras down, that's always a nice thing to be able to do. I think you guys can see me okay. I might angle my camera down just a touch too. It's maybe a little better for you. It's good. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the back today. So just lying here, your legs straight, it's a kind of back arch. So notice how your back feels in that position. Would you prefer to have your legs bent? Does that feel better on your lower back? So just notice that as a first step. So legs bent or legs straight, which one feels better? We're going to work with those knees a little bit. I know a few of you have got some knee injuries, so we're going to move into that now that we've established the apana. So we're going to start with some pointing and flexing of the feet. I'm going to use my trusty soft blocks from Half Moon Yoga here in the Lower Mainland. Okay, you can use a pillow, some pretty thin pillow. Now, if you have any hyperextension in your knees, put the blocks under your knees. Otherwise, put them under your thighs. Now, if you don't have the blocks or if this feels too hard, you can do this without anything, without a block, okay? This just makes it a little harder. If this hurts your lower back, you could just work one leg at a time and keep the other knee bent. Okay, so just modify to your needs. So first of all, I just want you to straighten the legs and try to lift the heels off the ground and see if you can do that. You will have to pull up on those kneecaps to do that. And then exhale, release. You can do this one leg at a time if you prefer, just one leg at a time. Inhale, flex, exhale, release. Inhale, bring the heel off, press away towards the wall, exhale, release. Or you can do both. Inhale, exhale. So this is strengthening the muscles around the knees. It's my #1 favorite knee exercise, strengthening all those little muscles. Inhale, bring them up, exhale, release. Now, if you want to add on Tadaka Mudra, inhale, the classical pose. So arms overhead. As you bring your heels up, now you could, if it feels good, point your toes. And as you exhale, flex your toes towards your nose. You can leave them up or release them down. Releasing down is definitely easier. Inhale, point and go away. Exhale, flex. Keep the feet off the ground and then release them right at the bottom or You could even keep them off the whole time. So just play with that. It's quite challenging. Now these arms overhead, if this isn't working for your upper back, neck, and shoulders, put a bolster behind you or bring your arms to the side, angel arms. Okay, I can't do it with all the stuff around me, but in your space, adjust so you can move your arms to the side. You can do that Jalandhara Bandha at the top, tucking the chin in. And you can do this without the blocks, it's much easier. The higher up the blocks are, the harder. If they're under the knees, it's much easier as well. I'm going to try to pull up on those kneecaps when you do that flex position. Let's just do one more round if you can, or just rest if you're complete. Just rest for a minute. Just rest. Lying on the ground, we actually know from research as well, it puts us into that relaxation response just by lying on the ground. So one way to soothe yourself when you're anxious, you're not feeling grounded, is just to lie down and take a rest. All right, we're going to remove those blocks. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to put my arms at the side. This is not necessary, but if you have room, arms at the side, palms up or down, your choice, any height that works for your neck and shoulders. Feel to point and flex your feet if you can. We're going to possibly add that on. So feet together. As you inhale, bring one leg to the side. Usually we start with the left. I'm using my right just to show you, to demo better. Exhale, bring the foot towards the other. And then we're going to do the other side. Inhale. So I've got the legs slightly off the ground. And exhale. So this is also working with the hips, strengthening those abductors and adductors. You can point and flex the feet if you like. Inhale, pointing. And exhale, flexing. This is strengthening those hips, but also helping strengthen the insides and outsides of the knees. For those of you who've got some meniscus tears or any instability on either side of the knee, this could be helpful. If it's too much in your lower back, you could have one leg bent and just work on one side at a time. And then switch sides after a few. If you do this right, it's also a core exercise. Very, very subtle. Try to keep that knee facing up. I'm sorry, I forgot to cue that. I can see some of you turning your feet out. So try to keep the knee facing up the whole time. So rather than letting the foot turn out as you inhale, try to keep the knee facing up. It's much harder. All right, let's take a break from that. Just rest. Your legs could be bent or straight, your choice. I always like to put my feet at the wall, which helps ground and align. So let's do some leg movement here also, which is great, getting into the hamstrings. Important part of the leg, of course, is those hamstrings, which we've already used a lot. Inhale, we're going to do one set at a time to begin with. So inhale, bringing both arms up. We'll do it this way. Tadaka Mudra. Exhale, you're going to bring one leg up. Now, as you do that, you can bend the opposite knee to help you have more range of motion, or you can keep that lower leg straight. So try to keep it straight. And then inhale, extend it out. This is also a core exercise as you gradually straighten the other leg as well. Again, you can do this with legs both straight. Exhale. I'm going to show with the bent knee to begin with, because I think most of you will probably want to add that part. Feel free to have something under your head if your neck is bothering you. So that's always the case for the supine poses, just a reminder. Inhale, extend out as the arms come up. Exhale, I'm going to do this time with both legs straight. It's my harder side, that's a little harder for me to access, but do your best. Inhale, extend. So this is a variation of Supta Padangustasana for those of you who are learning the names of the poses. You could grab your big toe or your calf rather than your thigh. I'm doing it with the thigh. You could classically hold the big toe as you go into this, and you could do just one arm rather than both. I'm using both just to make it a little easier. Keep that symmetry in the body. And a reminder, you can bend that opposite knee to make it easier. When you do that inhale, when you stretch the leg out, you can really decompress your hip by stretching really long. Let's just do one more round. I know some of you have some hip issues. Just want you to play with that, and it can be actually easier with that opposite knee bent. Inhale, extend out as much as you can. Try to decompress your hip, lower back. It's also a core exercise. You move from the pelvic floor up. And rest. Take a rest. Notice how you feel, hopefully a little more relaxed, a little more present. We're going to take these leg stretches further now. You could just hold your big toe classically. I'm going to use a belt because for most of us that is not accessible. So I'm going to use a belt, but feel free if you want to work classically, you would hold the big toe. Okay, so that is an option. However, you won't get the benefits of the footwork if you hold the big toe. So I would actually recommend you all use a belt if you've got one. It can be a scarf, a towel, TerraBand. So I've got the belt on the ball of my foot, and I'm keeping my hip down. My other leg is straight or it's bent. It could also be up on a chair or a couch. Okay, that makes it even easier. So feel free to adapt. This is definitely Supta Eka Padangustasana, classically done by holding the big toe. Exhale, I want you to bend your knee. This really stretches the hamstrings and the opposite hip. And inhale, straighten. That frog was spraying a lot. Inhale, you can point those toes. Stretch the front of the foot, the arch of the foot. Exhale, flex the toes and bend the knee. This one's great for plantar fasciitis, for tight calves, for tight hamstrings, and we're also working with the arch of the foot. Just keep that going. It's a very simple exercise, very effective. We do the standing poses first to warm everything up, and then we can go a bit more deeply into these. So notice where you feel this. Today, for example, I'm feeling a little bit in my left hip, which is the old area of concern for me, because I don't have issues in my knees. But if you've got issues in your knees, you might be feeling it there. If it's comfortable, stay in the position now, in the pose. I like to wrap my hands around that belt. Some students, sorry, I forgot to mention this, for those of you who can't grab onto a belt, you can put your hands in namaste and bring your hands to your heart. So that avoids that gripping action of the hands on the belt. Some people really like this, as do I. And just stay here and breathe. That opposite leg can be bent, or it can be on a wall or chair or couch. Makes it easier. Some of you might like to take it up to another level. As you exhale, you can bring your head up towards the knee. Do not do this if you have neck, shoulder pain. At the moment, that is, all right? It can actually help you strengthen your neck flexors to do this work. So the front, the throat area, and strengthen the front of the neck. Also said to work the thyroid. For those of you who have thyroid imbalances, this could be a good addition to your practice. Be careful, it can be hard on the neck. You can add that hold after exhale. Let's switch sides. Try to do all of that on the other side. So long vinyasa. So again, pick your medicine. That opposite foot, I like to put it at the wall so I can really ground the hip down. You can bend the knee. That opposite leg, you can put it on a chair, couch, etc. Straighten, exhale, bend. It's a modification. Exhale, bend, inhale, straighten. So working on stretching those hamstrings into the calf. Let inhale, you can add the point of the toe. So you stretch the front of the foot. You can bring the foot a bit away from you. So where you feel that best, and then exhale, flex. So that adds the foot more to the mix. So we get into the whole leg and the foot. On both sides of the foot, the arch and the sole. After doing that around 6 times, you can keep it going if it feels good, or stay in the position. So if you have pain or discomfort in staying, just keep it moving and see if that helps. So in yoga therapy, we often don't stay when there's pain.
However, this can be helpful. Getting a little bit more deeply, you can also add the point and flex the foot in this stay position. You want to work more with your foot and the calf. Or some of you might, again, you can hold in namaste position. Some of you might add coming up with the head towards the knee. As you exhale, inhale, release, curling down. Exhale, pelvic floor to belly button. Inhale, chest to belly. And add a hold after exhale. All the locks from the pelvic floor to the chin. After staying or moving around 6 breaths here, we're going to release, bring both feet to that belt, Urdhva Prasarita, or you could think of it as Supta Padangustasana with both feet, not Ekapada. And you could play with bringing your feet closer to your face, keep those hips down as you exhale. It's almost like a seated forward bend. Inhale, bring the legs away, point the toes. Exhale, flex the toes towards the nose, bring the feet towards you. Try to keep those hips relatively down for this one, so we get more into the hamstrings. This one's really working with lymphatic system. I know some of you talked about that in your intake, working with the lymphatic system, having the legs up to the sky. And to continue in that vein, I'm just going to put the legs up the wall. So I hope you have a wall. If you don't have one accessible, you put your legs up on a chair or on a couch. Okay, so if you don't have a wall around, feel free to do that. If you do have one, if you can see my wall okay here, you're going to bring your hips to the wall. Okay, so whatever hip you want, it doesn't really matter. So bring your hip to the wall and then swing your legs up. Whoop, like this. Now, if you're tight in the hamstrings, which I sometimes forget to cue for, but you can bring your body away like this. You don't have to have your hips at the wall. Okay, if your hamstrings are tight, or you can have your legs on a chair. Okay. So I'm going to show with my legs up the wall. And that belt, I've still got in my hand here, fortunately. If you don't, you might want to grab it. Sorry about that. So different strokes for different folks. So some people like to put the belt on the thighs. The idea of this is to be able to relax the legs. And for me, I find it much more comfortable on my ankles, other people on the shins, just above the ankles. So that's where I can relax. So it doesn't matter. Some people use 2 belts, one on the thighs and the other on the ankles. If you're getting cold, feel free to put a blanket on. We're going to stay here for a few breaths. This is a pose you can do throughout the day, anytime when you're feeling ungrounded, stressed. You can also put a bolster underneath the pelvis or a pillow to aid with that venous blood flow return. Feel free. I'm not going to show that today, but you could do that. And just breathe here. Long exhales. Every 2 exhales, can you add 1 count? And perhaps add a hold after exhale, half the length of your exhale. Do this in your own time, or I'm going to guide you for those of you who want to be guided. Otherwise, just do your own breathing. Inhale, expanding the chest and the belly. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's from the pelvic floor up to the belly button. Hold after exhale, draw everything in and up, hold. Inhale, chest to belly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, draw everything in and up, hold. 1, 2. Keep this going. You can add a count every 2 breaths to the inhale, the exhale, and the hold after exhale. Ujjayi Pranayama, constricting the throat. When you're ready, consider coming out of the pose. If any time you're doing this at home on your own, if your feet start to tingle, bend your knees at any time. And then straighten again. You could stay longer. You could do this 10-15 minutes. It can be a restorative pose from Iyengar Yoga, Viparita Karami, simple version. The next step is adding a bolster or pillow under the pelvis. I'll show that another week. Okay. Contraindications. Some people worry about this for blood pressure issues. Most say it's fine. Also for menstruation could be problematic, but for most people, they say just legs up the wall, as long as the pelvis isn't lifted, it's fine. Just rest a moment. In Shavasana, or knees to chest, or legs bent, knees angled in, your choice. Just rest. right, so we've done a lot of forward bends today, so we're gonna do a back arch and a counter pose before we come to seated, and this will also help us with our seated position, I hope. So just finding bridge pose. It's definitely a pose much easier to have a yoga mat if you've got one. So inhale, lifting the hips up, and you should feel stretch in the thighs if your thighs are tight. And exhale, coming down. This is also strengthening those hamstrings that we stretched. I know some of you need to strengthen your hamstrings, so this is the pose for strengthening those hamstrings. Exhale down. This also strengthens the muscles around the knees, so helps stabilize the knees. And it strengthens the lower back. So this pose does a lot of different things. It's kind of like the supine warrior pose for me. It does so many different things. It's a general wonderful back arch. Opens the chest. It's great for neck and shoulders. So inhale up, exhale down, just very simple. The palms can be down or up, your choice on that. See what feels better for your body. You also have your hands on your belly, the neck and shoulders. Hard to release the back arch when you do that. Inhale, the hands can come to the side, shoulder height, and exhale, hands down, actually more to the hips. That'll help you relax. When you're ready, maybe you can stay in the position. You could try one leg at a time coming up. This also really works those hamstrings. Exhale, release the foot down or come all the way down. Inhale, coming up. So I've got the palms down for this to give more stability. You could hold, also interlock the fingers underneath. Inhale up, exhale, release. This really strengthens the back and the hamstring, the leg that's pressing up. Oh, that has to work very hard. Take your medicine. Also try with the leg in front. Inhale out, exhale in. And of course, you can do a combination. Let's see if I can show that. Inhale up, exhale, bend in, inhale out, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale, bend in, inhale out, exhale down. This feels like a little bit of cruel punishment after that lovely inversion. Inhale up, exhale, bend in, inhale out, exhale down. Oh, let's try one more round. Inhale up, so bend in, inhale out, exhale down. Last one. Inhale up, exhale, bend in, inhale out, exhale down. Inhale, lift up, one more. Feel that lower back having worked as well, I'm sure. And exhale down. You'll feel whatever areas work for you. So I felt my lower back in that, not my legs, because I have really strong Scottish mountain climbing legs, is what my mom used to say. But for some people, they'll be feeling their legs in that. So just rest here. Your feet can be nice and wide. Angle those knees in. Just take a little rest. And then we're going to move into a counter that we haven't done today, this movement of the spine. A twist, Pranayama. We'll move into Pranayama as our counter. Inhale, center, exhale, other side. Just back and forth. So doing this last series just as a counter actually to all the four bends we've done today. Get into those hips in a different way, into the back in a different way. And we also did that bridge pose to work on strengthening the hamstrings. So yoga, a lot of yoga is always stretching, 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 which is great, but you're supposed to equally be strengthening the body and the mind, as well as relaxing it. You turn your head the opposite way, be careful. My teachers don't tend to do this while moving. They don't turn the head while moving, they keep it stable, which I tend to do, but some people find it very soothing to move the head the opposite direction. So if you don't have neck problems, go for it. It's just a little harder to get that alignment correct. Maybe stay on one side. I like to undulate the hips. Inhale, press the hips towards the side. Exhale, release. So that top hip is getting a nice stretch. And this also stretches into the thigh. Center, exhale, other side. So for example, if you have very loose hamstrings, flexible hamstrings, you might be quite tight in your thigh. So just be aware of that in your personal anatomy. Might be something that's always been the case for you your whole life. So just differences in how we're built. Like every plant is slightly different. Every human body is a little bit different, and diversity is the beauty. Embrace your individual differences and work with them. Inhale, I'm bringing my opposite hip forward, or actually to the side, and exhale, release. Tucking the tail under, arching the back as I inhale towards the side. My knees are on, exhale, release. Coming to the hip and the thigh. And when you're ready, coming to the center, last pose, the classic Apana pose. I'm going to use a block under my hips for this pose to increase the Apana effect. You don't have to do this. I have the block or pillow no higher than my waist. This is for those of you who are experiencing the joys of aging and are starting to have some incontinence issues of any sort. This can be very helpful as a daily practice. So I'm just going to throw that in. Those of you who might be experiencing that. Holding those knees or not. I'm going to start without holding the knees so you can get the action of the pelvic floor moving in and up. As the knees come in, inhale, knees away. As you breathe into the chest, then into the belly. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Working that whole Mula Bandha, that root lock, the whole Apana area. Bring the knees in, hold after exhale. Squeeze, hold, and inhale. Now you can add the hands, but you want a feather touch of the hands. You don't want to overuse them. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Hold after exhale, and then you can pull your knees in a little bit during that hold. And inhale. So I'm using this block underneath the pelvis to help increase this Apana effect, this ability to contract and round from the pelvic floor up to the waist, up to the belly button. You can always do one knee at a time. Holding after exhale. Hold can be half the length of the exhale or same length as a general ratio. And release. Just rest for a moment before we move into some closing practices. The legs can be bent or straight. I'm just going to stay for a minute here, just a rest, not full shavasana, just a rest. You might feel that Apanavayu, that energy flowing down from the waist down through the legs to the feet. For those of you who want to, you can just stay here for our last 5 minutes together, or you can join me for some pranayama and chanting, etc. In a seated position, your choice. So if you prefer, just lie down and just enjoy what you're about to hear. Feel free to do what's best for you this morning. Sitting anywhere that's comfortable, either sitting on the floor or in a chair. So I meant to see whether there was a full moon, because I sure saw a lot of light here last night in the forest. I feel like there's a full moon on its way, so I thought I would bring that in. I'm going to do some moon breathing, which is very grounding. I'm going to inhale left nostril, exhale right. Left nostril. And exhale right. So do that if you know this practice. For those of you who might not be familiar with how I teach this, I'll just show the hands. So Mrigi Mudra, right hand, first two fingers down, last two fingers together. The Deer Mudra. Okay, I use both hands back and forth for bilateral reasons of body and mind. Modification, you can just make a little beat like that. Classically, we do 12 rounds. We'll do 6 today. Counting the breath, inhale 4 to 10 seconds. Exhale, same. You could do a hold after inhale or exhale. Hold after inhale is kind of a more expansive experience. More grounding is that hold after exhale, which is our theme today. Counting the breath using the asana. For those of you who know that, you can add that piece. We're actually going to do 8 rounds. When you're finished, just do Ujjayi Pranayama resting. Move into a meditation breath. Inhale Om, exhale Namo, I let go. Inhale let, exhale go.
when you're at time. Just finishing up your pranayama. Those of you lying down, you can continue to lie down. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Namaste. Namaskaram. Thank you very much.